In the refined village of Little Piddleton, a name no one could say with dignity, lived Miss Beatrice Honeywell, a woman so absurdly beautiful that passers-by would walk into hedges just to stare at her. Unfortunately, she had the grace of a fainting goat on a tightrope. At the midsummer ball, she attempted a waltz so catastrophically misguided that she sent 4 gentlemen spinning into the punch bowl like cannonballs. One elderly colonel actually saluted her mid-fall, convinced he was back at Waterloo. "It is as though her limbs are in open rebellion," someone whispered behind a fan. And yet, Beatrice remained blissfully unaware. Her embroidery was no better. Once, whilst trying to stitch a delicate rosebud, she sewed her own finger to the hoop. When her mother screamed, Beatrice simply looked up and said, "It's avant-garde." At the Farnsworth Tea Party, an event so posh that even the teaspoons had titles, Beatrice attempted to pour tea and somehow detonated the entire service. China flew like cannon shrapnel. One poor Viscount dove under the piano yelling, "Save yourselves!" In short, Miss Beatrice was a walking catastrophe with cheekbones. And somehow, Mr. Thomas Bellamy adored her. He was a gentleman with a rogue smile and a scandalous fondness for not caring what anyone thought. While other men pursued pianists and fluent flirts, Thomas found himself utterly enchanted by a woman who once tripped over a doily and apologized to the floor. When he heard she'd been wounded, a tragic shard of porcelain to the palm, courtesy of her latest tea party meltdown, he knew it was time. He penned her a letter. "My dearest Miss Honeywell, I can no longer hide my affection for your smile, your spirit, and the reckless way you approach gravity. Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife? Preferably before you injure yourself with silverware. Yours in admiration and insurance concerns, Thomas Bellamy." Beatrice, touched beyond reason, and still slightly woozy from the bandaged hand, sat down to respond. She meant to say yes, of course, but she was also drafting her shopping list, and as fate would have it, accidentally mailed the wrong note. "Dear grocer, milk. Ribbons, blue, for Thomas. 2 cabbages. 1 jar of pickled something, surprise me. Starch for aunt's ridiculous collars. Needle and thread, not for fingers this time." Beatrice. When Thomas received the letter, he read it with trembling hands and stars in his eyes. "Blue ribbons for me?" he whispered. "This is the most romantic yes in history." Without delay, he raced to her house, burst through the door, after politely knocking, of course, it was still 1814, and swept her into a careful, non-injurious embrace. "You said yes," he breathed. "I did?" she blinked. "Oh, I mean yes, I definitely did. I meant to. Eventually. I just didn't mean to send you instructions for cabbages." They stared at each other, half in confusion, half in adoration, and then both burst into helpless laughter. They were married 2 weeks later, much to the horror of society and the total collapse of several lace doilies at the reception. Together they were a beautiful disaster. They tripped down staircases, knocked over heirlooms, spilled entire pitchers of lemonade on aristocrats, and somehow made it all look like a dance. Their love was not tidy, nor elegant, nor even remotely coordinated. But it was joyful, honest, and hysterically real. They lived clumsily ever after. And not one tea set survived.